You know what? I'm even gonna use the old nut. I mean, why wouldn't you? You can use the new one. I'm just too lazy to rip it out of the bag. And then you just dug that bad boy on. I lied. We'll use a new one. Hey everybody, Matt here, Hollywood's Garage. Can only guess what we're doing today on the old Superduty. 2008, if you're new to the channel, it's an 08 F350 Harley edition. I did a 6-inch lift on it with a 2-inch level on top. Threw some 14 wides on her with 1.5 inch adapters because it's 8x165 bolt pattern. So we got some width of this bad boy. And with that width comes with ball joints, yay, or bearings or whatever, wear and tear. This truck has just over 300,000 kilometers on it, and from what I can tell, these ball joints on the driver's side are still original. There's no grease zerks on them. That's how they came, unless they used Ford parts again to replace them. That's what's on there, because I picked up some Moogs, middle of the road ball joint, you know, not totally crap, but not the best. Price is right too. So we got lower or upper ball joint, lower ball joint, axle seal, because mine are all dry. They're not leaking, they're just dried. And this will be a, I think it's called a Pitman arm, which is actually the one for this side, the long one here. I'm getting some funny wear on the inside of this tire. So, and that one didn't have any slop in it when I checked for it for bearing play or ball joint play. So now I know that has some slop in it, that one tie rod. So we'll get started on this lovely job. First things first, we'll get her up in the air. We'll get a jack stand underneath it, zip that wheel off, zip the adapter off, and get her away in there. Man, getting this adapter off was fun. The old boop, too much Loctite on the threads. Had to get the old pry screwdriver out, but anywhoos. Next, we're going to get rid of the caliper, hang it up out of the way, so we can slide the disc off. Get that off. Next thing is, you know what? It's kind of a gamble. You take this off. Obviously, just 3 bolts. Boop, slides right out. You can do that first, or you can take off the sensor first. Those 2 bolts, pop that out of the way safely. Bend that out of the way. Slide her through. Make sure you put it back after. So that's what I'll do. I'll pop this off. 3 bolts. Boop, slides out. So I've never had this before. You gotta pop this off, and boom, cover comes off. As far as I can get it. I've already broke 1, 2, 3 tabs trying to get this sucker off. I've never had this problem before. So I get to try to figure this out without trying to mutilate it so I can still reuse it. That's fun. Yay me. In case you were wondering, there it is apart. That was the only way I could get that out. Ordered a new one. Ordered a knockoff one, so I'll just put that plate on the new one, and you'll never know. I mean, I'll know when I go to use it. I'm sure it'll be crap, but I digress. So we got a C-clip in there, so we'll get that off. Hopefully my tool's strong enough. It's a Chinesian one, so we'll get that off. We'll get this axle shaft pulled out, and we'll see what's next. So at a crossroads right now. These rinky-me-dinky snap ring pliers I got that are kind of universal. They flip. You can either go wide or tighten. They're no bueno. They don't get in there into that snap ring too long. No bueno. It's too thick with the adjustable head on it. So got a set of 9-inch coming from Glamazon for 30 bucks. They're overnighting it as quick as I can do. So for now, we can change another part that doesn't, you know, pertain to this side, because this side's now held up by 1 snap ring, and the rest is all just unbolt and pull out. So that's what's holding us up. So in the meantime, while I wait for, we'll have to wait till tomorrow anyway for that new hub, but I can still get it up to that point if I can get that ring out. But that's not the case. We're gonna pop this sucker out. Boop, this tie rod. We'll replace that. And then that should stop with the funny wear on this inside tire, because the tire's kind of going back and forth like this. So I'll have to get that changed out. We'll just loosen that, then we'll pop that out and pop the new one in and figure out this whole steering wheel, you know, straight this thing thingy. So just in case this sucker doesn't come out, we'll put the nut back on so we don't damage the threads by hitting with a hammer. Anyway, it shouldn't, but you just never know. Whew, that's fun. That is fun. I'm going to put my purse down, you know what I mean? Pop goes the weasel. There, we got it. We'll loosen these two up. Pop that out. Spin it off, spin the new one on. And the nice part is when they put this tie rod in, or the steering linkage, they ended up leaving this one like up to here. And this one's up to here, so we can actually center this piece, make it safer. But let's get these off and wrap this sucker off. You're gonna want to hold up your steering bar here, because this will just pop right out, and then pop this out. Yes, sir. Got her in. Ended up making this a little more equal. You know what? I'm even gonna use the old nut. I mean, why wouldn't you? You can use the new one. I'm just too lazy to rip it out of the bag. And then just dug that bad boy off. I lied. We'll use a new one. But they're both Moog, so it shouldn't matter. Maybe I'll galled up the threads, pushing it in to the slot. Yeah, that goes on a little better. There we go. Now, let's line up the coulter pin. Oh, you know where it is, huh? Oh, there it is. I think we're lined up now. We're snug. It's right there, I'm pretty sure. Can't see nothing. When in doubt, dug it out. There we go. We'll just grab both. There we go. A little twisty action. We'll put the Zerk in. We'll throw some grease in that sucker. End up getting some new, you guys haven't seen much. Oh, man. End up getting some better grease, some synthetic chassis grease from my last gun. Why isn't this grease zerk going in? Man, that's a crappy grease zerk to begin with. Let's reuse the old one. I never touched the top of this with a hammer, so there we go. Ended up reusing the old zerk because the new one wouldn't thread in. Lovely. I slapped some grease in that zerk and that zerk while I'm here, and center the steering wheel. We tighten that up and we are gooch. Got her buttoned up. You can see that now we have almost equal thread. You can see that one there and that one there. It's not perfectly equal, but it's way better than what it was. Way more thread engagement. That'll save her, obviously. Obviously, once I get her, the wheels are straightened out back on its tires, I'll be able to figure out that steering wheel part and make sure that's all straight, because it's all that this is just your steering wheel, if it's center or not. So we'll do that when the time comes. But right now we are waiting on a few parts. Lovely. Oh well, gonna clean up, go inside, make the family some supper. Chili night. Are you a chili person? Homemade chili too, with buns. It's probably the only thing I really make, to be honest. Welcome back. It is actually 2 days later. Life gets in the way, you know what not. Truck's not really gonna go anywhere. I don't need it really, so wasn't a huge rush. As it is, I'm still waiting for the part for my new hub. That's still a week away. Supposedly it got hung up. To be honest, I might go buy from a different store or local. It's like double the price, but just when the other one comes in, just put that in the box and return it, and boom, Bob's your uncle. Anywho, sorry about that when we get there. My cheap eBay or Amazon special snap ring pliers came in. It's got both sets, you know, open, close, and angled. I already got the pin kind of taken out there just for to make sure they weren't gonna, you know, they were good quality and they weren't gonna break when I try to start a video again. So I gotta fish it out. It would have helped if I would have kept these connected. Anyway, yeah, so instead of struggling me to get this out, watching me. Oh, did I get it? Yeah, I got it. Ha! We will now take the 4 bolts off the back of this, which are back in here. I know the light's not the best, guys, but you'll have one back here, one on the back here, be somewhere back in there, and then one per side on the bottom. So pretty much just 4 bolts. You can see how they go through there. Take those 4 out. Take this to pop off. This comes up obviously, so don't get that snagged. There we go. You got the bolts out, so now let's just hammer it off. Watch your sensor, like I said. Also undo your vacuum line. Actually, no. Yes, you can do undo your vacuum line up here. And if you want, proactive. So there you go, there's the back of your bearing. Good time to visually inspect it. All looks good on my end. Place it to the side. Whew. There we go. Tuck that out of the way. A little bit of shmoo in there, but not too bad. So I've seen a way where they want you to punch this vacuum seal out from the back forward. We're not doing that. We're going to keep that in there. We're going to actually wedge this thing, pull it straight out. There's nothing holding this in place now. Actually, you can see how much play that seal has. She's pretty worn out, but anyway, we're not doing that because that's a special kind of plug to put it in, or tool, and you could probably get away with just tapping it in, but I don't know, maybe I will, guys. I don't know. We're just winging it right now. Ball joint's the more important part. But what you do is you grab a pry bar, you wedge it behind here, right behind here, and you just pop it out and just slide right out. Let's see if the theory works. Had to use my old trusty dusty heavy one here with my extension as a snipe, and got her out. There we go. Pop it out and just kind of guide it, pull, and that's it, man. It's a stubby little shaft. That's all she is. Check your U-joint while you have it out. Let me turn this so you can see. Check your U-joint. Probably even grease it while it's out if you have a greasable one. I do not. It's probably a factory one. But yeah, I mean, now would be a good time to change it, but you can see it's not very hard to get to it either, so. But nice and good. Now let's get this old spindle off. Big old unit. So this is what I'm talking about, factory stuff. So this ball joint, I ended up putting these bushings in it on a previous video to help with the caster. Because of my crooked spring here, because of my leveling kit. No bumps here. Recommend, easy to do. But I put a groove on top. The Moog ones come with that groove, just help, you know, screwdriver when you tighten the bolt. So this is factory, and I knew when I did this that it was sloppy. I knew this ball joint was coming up, and here I am. Bit me in the butt, but, and there, again, no slit. And as it is, there's no grease zerks on either or of those. That's how you know the factory. And even this looks factory. There's no grease zerk on this sucker. So this bar here is original. The other end's been changed out. It's got a Moog on it, like a, you know, a circle, so tie rod can go through. But this one looks factory. By factory, I mean it could have been replaced with a knockoff or a Ford part, but no grease zerk. And it doesn't say Moog on the boot. So you can take this off. This is just a cover that's over top of the bolt, so that way you can line up kind of universal cotter key system instead of trying to tighten the bolt. Gotta love cotter pins. Nice and fun. Technically you're not supposed to reuse cotter pins, but as long as they're still good, I'll use them. And that just pops off, and there's your bolt. Gonna pop that off, drop this down. It shouldn't go anywhere because it's held up on the other end. And also my bracket here. I might have to undo this too. just to pop this down. We'll see when we get there, but just FYI, because this is aftermarket, obviously, the steering stabilizer. He'll have just a single one if it's factory, and it's up in the other corner, up at the top there. So this probably have to come off and just pop those off. This whole thing just slides down, boop, and then you change your ball joints. Sounds easy, obviously not that easy. Let's just unthread that till it gets to the top, so we can schmucker. Like that. Now, let me just put this down because this might take two hands. I kind of want to cradle it down. Probably do it. There you go. I mean, if you want, you can take that shock off. But honestly, it's pretty supported. See what I mean? Like, it's hanging up by that middle bracket from the shock. I always like to put the nut back on, so A, you don't wreck the threads, and B, you don't lose the nut. I'll take these cotter pins off. I think I'll put a new pin on this. And then zip. Well, this one will just have it till it's loose. That way when we take the bottom one off, through here, it doesn't just fall into your foot, because steel toe van life. The bottom one, 1 5/16. The top one, 1 1/8. So make sure you have those ready. Not everybody's gonna have a 1/2" ratchet set. 2 sockets to go that big. I'm lucky I do. So this one is obviously just a wrench I had in a big bag of wrenches. We do it to the big boys for this one. Got that one loose. Take this one out. Bang her down, and again, make sure your hose is disconnected if you have auto 4x. Bottom one's out. Let's see if she comes down. Well, you're gonna be fun, aren't you? Literally 3 more bangs on top of that, and 1 bang right on top of here. I was able to get that out of the way with 2 hands. Boop. That's why I leave the nut on, or that would have went right on the old toesies. And just like that, she slid out the bottom. Tech tip, use some vice grips, hold on to that shaft, because you're replacing this because how loose it is, right? So it's just gonna spin when you have the nut on top. Wobbly, wobbly, wobbly. Bottom one seems tighter, but the top one definitely clicks. Bottom one too. So she was time. Make sure you get this bushing out. You want to put this in after. If you try to seat it, it won't center this properly. So, like I said, you can either hit it from the bottom. Right there, you can see that. Let's see if I can. So, just like the snap ring on the inside there, grab your now acquired snap ring pliers, I guess, and they will get stuck in there. Yeah. And then, because these go pushed from, these go up. Here, we got it all set up on the bottom one. So we got it so that way the cup's up top. Got a bad view for you guys here. Cups are here with this, so the bolt can go right through. You push them from the bottom. Get yourself an Ugga Dugga machine and go to town. So be tricky because there we go. Use your Vans as a prop. So the problem I'm running into using this kit from Amazon, OMT, is this isn't long enough. Like, it's perfectly around the outside of the race, but it's not long enough to have this. So what happens, yes, that slides over the threads and boom, hits the taper. And has no room to go out. So I got 2 options. Well, 3. I can cut the threads off, flush with there, and just have it, you know, sitting on there, and then I have that much more wiggle room to pop that out, which is probably all I need. or I could try hammering it out from the bottom, setting this on some blocks on this end, hammer down on it. Try that. Or try to get this one out first and then do that one. Not like it'd be flat, but you don't want to break that stuff. It's tricky. It's very tricky. I might have to just that or hollow out this piece. I tried to trim it a little bit, but it wasn't enough. Like I need to go quite a bit. Like I need to go almost to that flat, to the flat race there, right about there, for the slide around. So between a mixture of honing a little bit and cutting off the threads, we'll get the old one off. Now the new one on, the different story, obviously, because we're not going to cut those threads. I even brought out the big gun. Started moving super easy. Oh, did it catch up already? Moved a little bit. Workbench isn't benching. What's caught on it now? Yeah, see, now it's hitting that again with that. So either got to cut more off or try tapping it out. Tapping it out works. Boom. She's the factory one, no splines. Now using the same cups and plate. This one's easier because it's a smaller head on it. So you're gonna feed her through. Let me try to get a view for you guys. You can see there, you can feed her through the bottom. Get yourself a deep socket. There it is. Now I have impacted that on, so now I gotta get that off. Like that. That's the way it is. Again, she's a factory one. The Moog ones are splined. For example, here's the bottom one for the Moog. She's splined. So now's also another good time to make sure that they're the same in kind. Everything lines up. We are good. So you want to make sure the inside races of your, I guess, spindle are clear too, or clean, sorry. You can see they don't put much grease in there from factory, just 4 little squirts, but at least to give you an option to have a zerk. So for this, all I do is slowly tap this in, just ever so gently so it kind of centers. Just so it makes the tool a lot easier. And then we grab something that's going to sit on top of there, which is this sucker. Yep, perfect. In the end, we want to put this back on like that. And then you want to get a plate off the bottom, which will be this guy right here. Like that, and you put your tool on and you go to town. Let me just, because it's 2 hands here, let's just see if I can do it. And when you go to impact it on, just go slow to begin with. You want to see if, you're going to want to see if that squeezes in flat. So actually, you know what? I'll show you while I'll go this on just a little bit. Going on nice and flat. Till she bottoms out. You can give it a couple more ugga-duggas just so you know it's seated. Back it off, do the bottom one. There we go, it's seated. It looks crooked because it actually tapers to the point here in the molding. So just look down on the shoulder and make sure that the shoulder's sitting flat. That's how you know it's seated. Now we'll do the bottom one. Behold my contraption. This that came with the kit wasn't wide enough, and I tried dremeling it out, but it was taking forever to make, honestly, like a millimeter. So I got an exhaust clamped that I cut off the car a while back, a V-band, wide enough there that hopefully this sinks it the rest of the way. Like, we only have that much more to go. So pray with me as we try to sink this in. As it is, this isn't sitting that right, but let me get this straightened out and I'll bring it back. Okay, let's go. It's working, it's just it's bouncing on me because it's only in one hand, but I'll set you up and see if you can see. I'm gonna bring out the big gun. We're almost there. Got her. The big old V-band worked off the car. Didn't even wreck it too much, could still reuse it. Now, let's see if we are seated. Yep, I would say so. We are up to... Yep, we are up to the lip all the way around, so we are good. Snap ring that bad boy back in. We'll put our grease zerks back in. We'll grease them while it's out because it's easy. And then we just slide this puppy on. Is there a rubber? No rubber. All right, is there rubber? So there's the snap ring. There is, the rubber's already attached here, so you can squeeze it down, it'll squeeze the rubber on. I did put the top rubber on without you guys. Eep. Right here. That, you can just take another like spacer and kind of push it on so it's square. That's what I did. So we got that on. While we're in here, we might as well replace this seal. Got the new and improved one, so this way you don't have to use a fancy tool because you don't have your spindle in the way. So I should get that in there. This might be two-hander. Boom, Bob's your uncle. Clean it up. We'll put the new one in. In like Flynn. Get you a 3-inch V-band multi-tool ball joint and seal press. Gucci Mane. We're gonna lube this up though, so we slide the axle in. She don't grip and rip, you know what I mean? Okay, we're back. I put luber plate on there so we don't forget. We don't want to forget. Clean these out. Ugh. Grab your I don't know, bottom or top, whatever you think is easier. Probably, to be honest, it's probably going to be the bottom because I have the top bushing out. There we go. You just ratchet that bad boy out. Usually if you put pressure on the bottom of the ball joint, it'll put that taper into that seat and it won't spin the ball joint. And obviously make sure your threads are clean and you're not cross-threaded, and she just should just go right back on. And it'll get to a point where it's gonna start tightening itself in. We're getting there, getting underneath the spindle. There we go. So, just keep tightening her up until she's snug. Oh no, she's spinning again. My jack slipped. The trick is to make sure that you can see the top's flat, but not this piece. So you're gonna grab yourself a socket and a hammer and it's a piece of wood and just drive this in. So the flat spot back here matches the flat spot of the spindle. All you do is take my little hammer and just tap on both sides and boom, it went down. Don't worry if it doesn't go all the way down. The factory ones don't either. If you were to see, the problem is if you keep that bushing in and have it seated all the way down, when you go to put your ball joint in, it's not centered. You want this as much centered as possible so you're not putting strain on your bushings and stuff on your axle. Yeah, they make that one bigger. I might have to get it, might not run out of room. Oh, there we go. We'll go a bit more. Gonna line up that cotter pin, we'll slip that bad boy in. So I find the trick with tightening ball joints is you want to be able to move the spindle still. Because if you go too tight, even that's pretty tight, but they're gonna be a little tight because they're brand new. But you want to be able to pivot side to side, or you're gonna tear up that cup in there super quick and wear it out. So we're gonna leave it there. got the cotter pin there, so I'll put the pin in and just reverse it, guys, backwards. Axe goes back in, you know, outer bearing. Throw that back on now, actually. And you didn't touch that, so your alignment should be good. And so now it's a bunch of bolts. Here we are. That's back on. Reuse the old cotter pin. Ooh, spooky. Got that line tight, my ABS, and got that put back in and tightened, and then make sure that's pushed back down. So you don't have the proper cup tool to push in that seal, to push in the axle, you can only get it so far. And it's about that far from really seating in. So when I put the bearing on, I put it on nice and flush. I took a 2x4 with a little love taps, as far as I can get it. And then the gap between these two were only like that. So what I did when I put the nuts on, I just kind of crisscrossed. You know, I wouldn't tighten one all the way. I just kind of crisscrossed and squished it on, kind of square as you can, but crisscross. And it seated right in. Still spins. We're good that way. Obviously, you won't be able to spin the inner until you have your locker back in. That should be coming in the mail, so I'll get that finished off. But she a fun one. The biggest concern is just going to be having the proper tools and having stuff laying around that you can use as a crutch for your tools. That's why I don't throw much away. I kind of keep everything. This bearing's nice and tight. So what we can do though is we can put the disc back on. We could put that caliper back on and got the caliper tight. But I'll be doing brakes in my future. Whoever did the work on this before only put one metal clip per pad. Supposed to have them top and bottom both. So it's probably why she squeaks a little bit. You know, honestly, you could probably service these bushings too. Pads are kind of wearing kind of funny, but that's a future problem. Got all that locked in. So we can't forget the one thing inside of here. I almost did. The old snap ring. So make sure you get that in there. Easiest thing is just to squeeze it a little bit. Two-hand job, and get when you go to push it in, push on this end with the flathead screwdriver and kind of put it in square. We got that snap ring in there. More fun than a guy would like, but you got her in there. Now there's a bunch of Loctite from when I had the spacers on, so we're going to get that off the best way I know how. And that's using a lug nut. Nope. See, it just turns into dust. So we got the new Dorman quarter of the price auto hub. Obviously sell both manual and auto. Stuck with auto obviously because it's what we have. But I mean, let's face it, that's boring, right? We want the forward one. At least that's the plan. So what I've been doing is slowly prying these fingers off so I can undo the cup. And then actually what I started with is sticking finishing nails underneath the plastic tabs, kind of like what you see there. And then once you got 3 or 4 of them, we kind of just like take a screwdriver and we kind of keep popping off. But we're going to try to put the forward one back on and see if that works, if everything looks the same. If not, this will go back on. What I should do is mark it though, so we kind of know exactly. I'll put like a paint mark here, there. So right here, there, so we know exactly how it goes. I don't think it matters, because I just think either way, when you twist it, it kind of locks, right? So it just pushes on a diaphragm, which I've learned. The rubber piece over there, right there, it just pushes on it and pushes down on the gearing, so it sets it in. But let me keep going here, prying this off. And so yeah, it's the exact same, as it makes sense. Just copy of the old pattern, right? So we're gonna put the forward one back on. I took it off in the locked position. So we're gonna put it back in the locked position, and it should go right back together. The pin and everything same. So, and I did mark a spot on here to here, so we'll try to line it up or we'll put her back on. So yeah, it snapped right back into place. And right now I think I have it unlocked, but let's see if that inside spins when I lock it. No, I guess I had it locked. So that's unlocked. Locked. There we go. So you can just switch out the covers, and look at, we still have a forward one. No one will know except for you and I. Don't tell anybody. Don't forget to lube up your O-ring. It actually tells you in the instructions box to do that. So we got to find out my screw where this goes in. This will be the tricky part. Gotta line up the grooves. Gotta line up the grooves, I said. Not gonna lie, that was fun. There's a lot of tapping with the dead blow and just kind of holding force in a circle, and she's in there though. Don't know why it's that hard, but I guess once you have it like set, you go to pull the old one out and the new one in, everything's kind of already pretty like loaded and stuff. But when you have it all apart like I did, it kind of shifts things around. Especially the way I did it with putting the axle back in, like by using the bearing to kind of squish the last half inch on. You're supposed to have a tool to drive that in to make it square, but here we are, got her in. I even brake cleaned the rotor. Next is putting on the old EDFD. So you're thinking to yourself, Matt, spacers and spacers are stupid. Well, you are correct. But to run those wheels, I need this. Story goes, I needed wheels. That guy said they were off a Ford. He had them on a newer Chev. He had adapters. But when he said Ford, I was like, okay, 8x170, right? Go to pick them up, go to put them on, and nope, no bueno. They're 8x165. So here we are with adapters. 1.5 inches. So not too bad, but that doesn't help with wearing out ball joints and bearings, obviously. Not ideal, but here we are. They're Tiz wheels, so they're nice. Either hoose. Let me get this on. I'll torque these down to I think it's 165, but I did 170 on these, and then the wheels I did 160. Put Loctite on them, of course, and then we'll put the wheel on. Say hey. Had to get the wife in there to hold the brakes. The best way to hold us from spinning. Got it all wrapped up. Got the adapter torqued to 170 with Loctite. Went around after I did the crisscross 3 times. Wheel 165. You know, crisscross and went around 3 times. No Loctite, obviously. Tools put away. She's ready to rock. So I don't know if I really showed this that well, but this was the upper ball joint. No bueno. And then the bottom one, let me see if let me get that in the vise and show you. That one's very lightly. It was on its way out, but you're in there. You might as well just do both, right? Because you got it all apart. Well, so lessons learned. Let's do the lessons learned. Make sure you have the proper tools. You got some big inch stuff in there, some big sizes. Your typical socket set, wrench set ain't gonna work. So if you want to do work on your own Super Duty, your own 1-ton diesel kind of bigger trucks, get yourself a big set of wrenches and a big socket set. It's expensive, but it'll save you money in the long run. Have some, if you're gonna do the seal, or even that bottom ball joint using a generic ball joint press like I did, get yourself like a 3-inch V-band. I have this laying around. It worked for me to get the ball joint, the lower ball joint out, and then also to get that seal into the housing. Worked great. There's a tool, like I said, that pushes that in evenly. Almost like a T-handle in a way. Same tool you would use to seat the axle seal in, instead of using that bearing to push in the last 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, more like 1/4 inch. But anyway, and then also, man, removing that hub, that factory one, should not be that hard. I've done it 3 or 4 times on previous Super Duties. They pop out, they pop right back in. Yeah, they're tight. They're meant to be tight, but not get stuck like that. Like I had to rip that thing out in pieces. Anyway, we got a Dorman one in there. You see me switch the cover out, so that's good to know. So we're still rocking, you know, Ford as far as people know. Plus it looks cool. Because in the winter, I do plan on taking the center caps off. These just pop in and off so you can keep the housing on the outside. And that way in the winter, I have 4x4 because we all know the vacuums on these things suck. Part is because that seal that I never changed. Other than that, thanks for watching, guys. Bit of a struggle, but you know, it's all doable. Give yourself a good solid day to do it. If you've never done it, like that's the first time I've ever done it. Next time, I know tips and tricks now, right? But thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.